Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So today I am coming to you from the 2000s looking like a skater boy era Avril Lavigne, truly an icon. Anyway, we're talking about something serious. So the only laughs you might have had, if any, have already happened. 8Passengers, do we remember them? I talked about them, I think, in 2020, I want to say, and it was one of the only videos I've ever had taken down. And I also got a cease and desist. So we'll see what's gonna happen here. Hoping for the best. But since the Washington Post has reported on this, I feel pretty safe that they're not going to give a fuck about whatever some random YouTuber like me says on the internet, also on account of you belong in jail. But anyway, I'm going to do a brief intro of who 8Passengers is, like the YouTube channel, the people, and if you already know that, I'll put a timestamp so you can skip. So what is 8Passengers? In 2015, Frank, so there's a mom called Ruby Frank, and then there's her husband, Kevin. Ruby Frank is one of the central quote-unquote characters of what we're talking about here. So just remember her. Kevin isn't really involved as of right now in terms of the information we have. Frank started 8Passengers, where she discussed parenting strategies such as what books she allowed her kids to read and shared scenes from daily life, such as family dinners, preparing meals, and driving her kids around. But videos showing Frank disciplining her children eventually sparked concern among viewers, particularly after her son Chad said in a 2020 video that he slept on a beanbag for months as a punishment. The beanbag punishment, this is when I talked about the entire family, the channel, whatever, because that really did cause a lot of outrage. Makes it seem like it's not justified because there's so much fake outrage these days that now the word itself, I feel, has changed in meaning. But regardless, there was a lot of justified, in my opinion, outrage when we looked at the types of punishments she was dispensing to her children. It just all seemed very harsh. A lot of it seemed so regimented, so clinical, like it wasn't even a punishment for your children. It was just like this punishment. Like if someone does X, this is what happens. It doesn't matter if they're my kid. And granted, a level of strictness should be found in every household, but it has to be healthy and it has to come with an equal level of empathy and compassion. And I'm not going to get into all of that, but I just don't think there was equilibrium here. I don't think there was a good level of balance. So because of Chad sleeping on the beanbag, the incident prompted viewers to dig through 8Passengers content for evidence of any abuse. In one widely criticized video, Frank explained why her daughter needed to go hungry to learn to pack her lunch. In another, she threatened her child with losing the privilege of eating dinner. Such scenes prompted a 2020 petition calling for an investigation into the Frank parents that has received more than 17,800 signatures. The channel fizzled out in 2021 and has since been removed from YouTube. After Child Protection Services visited their house, Frank defended their style of parenting to Business Insider, saying, "What people aren't understanding is that we give our children choice in everything." It's really a manipulative thing when people say shit like this, because granted, there is such a thing as choice and there is such a thing as having choice. That being said, if someone says, hey, it's your choice, but if you choose X, then I'm gonna do Y, that's not really a choice. Like, yeah, sure, it's still a choice, but who's going to choose something that might hurt them? So you're really pressuring people into one direction. And I'm not saying that's what's happening here. I'm just saying as an example of how it's their choice can really be used in a manipulative way. There's this implied subtext of, yeah, but if you choose the wrong thing, this thing is going to happen to you. Just because you're not commanding someone literally to do something, it doesn't mean that it's their choice. What to know about Ruby Frank, parenting YouTuber charged with child abuse. Ruby Frank, a Utah mother of 6 who ran the well-known parenting YouTube channel 8Passengers, has been arrested on charges of child abuse along with her business partner Jody Hildenbrandt. Santa Clara Ivins Public Safety Department said in a news release. The arrests came after Frank's 12-year-old son climbed out of a window at Hildenbrandt's home in Ivins, Utah, and appeared emaciated and with open wounds at a neighbor's, where he asked for food and water, according to an affidavit reported by the Associated Press. After searching Hildenbrandt's home, police found Frank's 10-year-old daughter in a similar malnourished state. Hildenbrandt's counseling firm Connections, where Frank works, did not immediately return a request for comment late Thursday. It was not clear if either of the women had retained an attorney. Frank's husband, Kevin, was not named, and it is not clear whether the couple is still together. So let's stop right the fuck there. What in the horror movie is going on where a kid, your child has to climb out of a window looking like they've not been eating with open wounds, looking like a whole ass torture victim. And you were the person giving people advice on how to parent on YouTube? That was you? Explain. I'm not gonna lie, this first paragraph did immediately make me want to vomit. Let's talk about Ruby Frank. Ruby Frank is a 41-year-old video blogger turned mental fitness trainer. The jokes write themselves, folks. The Utah mother became famous for her YouTube channel featuring her husband, formerly an engineering professor at Utah's Brigham Young University, and their children, Shari, Chad, Abby, Julie, Russell, and Eve. At one point, Frank was posting videos of the family 5 days a week. Frank rose to fame in the 2010s, documenting the lives of her 6 children to more than 2 million subscribers on the now deleted channel 8Passengers. In recent years, viewers have raised concerns about Frank's harsh approach to parenting. So here, there's also a post from Ruby Frank saying, "There has been a lot of talk about my parenting over the past few years. If you want to hear all about it from me without going to TikTok and you are a parent and want to learn more about connected parenting, join me with Connections Coaching this Saturday morning for a free mini conference at 8 a.m. Mountain Time on Zoom. I will be contributing with 2 other couples as we discuss how to engage, invite, and connect with children of all ages. I will be sharing where I was as a parent before Connections and where I am now. Can't wait to see you there." Frank and her family are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and she told local TV station KSL in 2016 that 8Passengers had allowed them to share Mormonism in a way that they normally wouldn't in Springville, Utah. Frank also told KSL that filming the YouTube show was a reminder to let my heart rate come down and to just enjoy being with the kids as they are right now. As you guys well know, I typically don't like dragging religion into things because I don't want to make any sweeping generalization, so I'm really not going to comment on the religious aspect of it all. It is an aspect to be considered, and you can do that yourselves without my input. The only thing I am going to say about all of that is that so many times when we see people do what I could eloquently call fucked up shit, there has to be something behind all of that that's kind of reminding them that deep down they're good people. You know, like people who are super shitty and manipulative, and then they'll have some kind of belief system that'll back up whatever shitty manipulative thing they did. And that's not to say that a religion is shitty, but it's just the case of when people project whatever they want into a religion, so it's okay to do things. Kind of the same way that you have homophobes who really are homophobes, and some of them might be religious, and some of them might use their religion to back up, oh, well, you know, my God wasn't okay with this, therefore it's fine for me to yell slurs at a gay person. It's kind of that same mentality. Now, like I said, that's not just about religion. You can use any kind of belief system to back up being shitty, so I'm just gonna say that. Now, listen, I'm not the target demographic for any type of family vlogging channel, mainly because I don't like the ethics or lack thereof with family vlogging channels, and also I don't particularly care to see a family's day unless I actually know the people, because I don't know you. I don't need to know what time your baby eats. Like I said, I'm not the target demographic, and I don't really watch those channels, so I can't say for sure that they're all terrible, and it would be honestly against the law of probability that they all are terrible, abusive, toxic, and, you know, what we've seen the big ones actually be. That being said, I really don't know how many times we have to have the same conversation, because if a lot of these channels are ending up causing problems in families, are ending up with traumatized children, how many times do we have to see that happen before people say, you know what, maybe, you know, slamming a camera in my baby's face 5 days a week is not going to have a good result? It occurs to me that I understand why you'd want your kids in family vlogging channels, but I feel like there are a lot of family things that you don't really need the kids in for. Does that make sense? So like there's that mom on TikTok that's getting called trailer trash, the one who's like really young and makes food for her kids. There's a lot to be said about that. I don't follow her closely, so I could be wrong, but I don't remember her showing her kids in her TikToks, but it still counts as not necessarily family vlogging, but you're showing aspects of the family. She's showing the meals she makes for her kids. She's showing these things. So even if you're doing things for your kids, they don't necessarily have to be in frame all the time. If you show a clip here and there, okay, whatever, but it doesn't have to turn into a them show. So there's also that. So that's a very particular choice that's made, right? I don't vlog often. The few times I have vlogged, I've basically always avoided showing the street I live on, what my house looks like, all of that stuff I've kind of avoided. I've showed particular rooms. You can tailor all this stuff. So let's not get it fucked up. All these things that they chose to do were choices. They were choices, ironically. the Frank family who gives all their kids choices, you guys had choices too. So then it says, who is Jody Nan Hildenbrandt? Jody Nan Hildenbrandt is a counselor and founder of Connections, a life coaching firm and YouTube channel that Frank has been working with as a mental health coach. The two have appeared together in videos as recently as this week on Connections social media accounts and have advertised parenting classes together. In 2012, Hildenbrandt was put on probation for 18 months and nearly lost her license while working as a pornography addiction therapist after she discussed a patient publicly without his permission, according to a report from the Salt Lake Tribune. So this is an entire shit show. Life coaching, I'm not going to try and generalize that either. I have yet to meet a life coach who hasn't been a hack. That's also to say, it's kind of the whole thing of people who are actually life coaches and who are actually helpful usually don't title themselves that way, because I do think that there is a very particular stereotype that, in my experience, which is a limited experience, thank God, has been extremely true. I've had close contact with one life coach who coached someone in my family, and he's a total fraud, even according to a background check. Listen, I'm gonna move on, but I'm just gonna say the whole life coach thing in and of itself would be a red flag to me. That's not to say that every life coach is a bad life coach. What does this mean for the family? Upon Frank's arrest, the 2 malnourished children were taken to the hospital and 2 additional minors were taken into the custody of Child Protection Services, according to the AP. Frank's oldest daughter, Shari, 20, wrote on her Instagram story that she was so glad justice is being served. We've been trying to tell the police and CPS for years about this, she said, adding that her siblings are safe, but there's a long road ahead. Frank's sisters, Ellie Meacham, Bonnie Holine, oh, I don't know, and Julie Daru, oh, man, whatever. Also, parenting influencers did not respond to requests for comment Thursday night, but just posted a joint statement on their Instagram accounts about recent events, saying that Frank and Hildebrandt's arrests needed to happen for the past 3 years. They said they kept quiet for the sake of her children. The kids are now safe, which is the #1 priority, they wrote. So I really don't want to comment too much on that either, because truly I don't know what the fuck is going on, and maybe it is for the children's sake, but I feel like a lot of people would probably think that what would have been better for the children's sake is someone speaking up as opposed to silence. But like I said, we don't know the intricacies, so it might very well be more complicated than that, so I'm not going to jump to that conclusion. Though as a general notion, when kids are in trouble, they do need someone to speak for them as opposed to silence, but I'm going to leave that there. Anyway, you guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know what you think about family vlogging channels. I feel like there's going to be a consensus in the comments, but let's see if I'm right. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys next time.